Welcome to the Credit Mix, where credit and finance meets news of the week. I'm Sandra Bernardo, Manager of Consumer Education.
And I'm Kerrie Roberts, Community Manager of Social.
So we had some fun this past weekend. We saw that the Google app, there's this app out there, I'm sure many of you have seen it.
Yeah, Google Arts and Culture app.
That does your picture similar to some artwork.
It's pretty hilarious. It's funny how it's pretty much gone kind of viral on social. I think we started seeing a lot of celebrities even posting them as well. And then I just kept seeing all my friends in my feeds on Instagram, on Facebook, everyone sharing the photos. And so, of course, we were like, let's do one.
Yeah, so we had a little fun. You see our photos up there. I don't really know how much they look like
Mine, it was so fitting because we just came out of Martin Luther King holiday on Monday. And so when I did mine, I was like, oh my gosh, it's MLK. So how awesome that mine turned out to be MLK.
I don't even know who mine is.
In honor, and it was like the whole like Time magazine cover when he was like Man of the Year in 1964. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I've seen some other ones where I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I didn't even put the first option for mine actually.
This one was my first one, was the highest percentage match, and I had a few other ones, and I was like, I'm gonna stick with MLK.
Yeah, no, that was a good one.
Yeah.
So we just figured, hey, we would talk a little bit about how this relates to credit and finance, right? Because that's what we're all about here at the Credit Mix. And buying affordable art, right? Decorating your home or your office with artwork. What can you do if you can't afford a Picasso, obviously, right? So I like to look for things at flea markets. Actually, I always go to different outdoor market type of places, and there's always artists there selling their original work.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a good idea.
There's actually one local here in Southern California, actually where I live, and there's one, I think it's like maybe the first or Saturday of the month in Long Beach. They have a huge one everything you can find, lots of art pieces, antique furniture, like anything. That's all there. So it's a great space.
Especially if you want something unique, and then you can always look online at marketplaces like Etsy. That's super popular.
I bought stuff from Etsy before. I bought different like prints and things like that on Etsy, and then I've had like either stretched on like a canvas or framed too. So very affordable, especially if there's like any kind of like deals. Sometimes I get like cashback deals with credit cards if I spend on Etsy. So it even like entices me to say like, oh, maybe I need a new like something for my bathroom or whatever.
Right. I know a couple of other popular sites are Society6, which is also a marketplace for independent artists. And then something that I found that I like is called instapainting.com. So really it's more if you have a photo that you want to turn into a painting, and so you submit the photo, and then they'll do either oil or just black and white, pencil. There's a couple options there, and I thought that was super cool.
That's funny. My grandparents years ago, when I was very young, my brother and I and my cousins, and they have pictures like painted of us where it was like an actual picture that we took, which was probably like even in the 80s. And had it turned into like this oil painting, like and there's like huge 3 big ones like in their house of all of us when we were like super young together, and so but now it's probably like God knows how much it cost back then or who even did it, but that seems so easy
right now with technology and everything online. You just upload the photo and boom, you have your artwork. So I thought that was a cool one. And also we looked at opportunities, right, to actually go see art, and there's a lot of museums across the country that have days that are free or even are always free. I know the Getty here in LA is free. I mean, there's a parking cost. It's like $15 for parking, but admission is free.
It's great.
A couple other museums in LA, the Broad collection is free.
The Broad is awesome too.
Have you been there?
Yes, I have. I have. They have some great exhibits when they have some cool ones there. It's pretty awesome. If you're a Bank of America customer, they have museums on us where every first full weekend of the month you can get into specific museums for free. So they have a whole list. It's all broken down by state. You can figure out like where are the museums that participate in my area. And if you're a Bank of America customer, you show your debit card or your credit card and an ID, and you get in for free.
Oh, okay, excellent.
So,
and there's also a museum day. It's an annual day sponsored by the Smithsonian Magazine, and this year it's on September 22nd, and so there's participating museums all across the country. You just need to go to the website, and you can just Google Museum Live, and they don't have all of the list of museums yet, but if you go to the site closer to September, they'll have the list, and then you actually can just click to get a quote-unquote ticket, and all those museums will offer that for free.
Sounds
so good ideas
Get out there.
Get your artsy-fartsy on.
Yeah.
So on a more serious topic, we are going to talk a little bit about tax fraud, because tax season is kicking in, and many of you are, expecting your returns pretty soon. And we wanted to just offer some tips and advice on that, because the fraud is so rampant now. Last year, in fact, the first 5 months, there were more than 100,000 reported ID thefts of tax fraud. So make sure to file early. That's really one of the best ways to avoid ID theft, is to file early. I always try to file, as soon as I get on my W-2s at the end of
if
January.
they come in January, I'm already submitted by February. As soon as they can accept, a return, mine is in there waiting to get,
because you want to get yours in obviously first before any fraudsters. And then, don't fall for any of the scams out there. So, for example, the IRS will not contact you by phone. And that's a big one. You'll get a phone call. They claim to be the IRS. They're saying that you owe money and you need to pay it right away, or something to that effect. Also, don't click on anything via email. The IRS will not contact you by phone, email, or text.
I think that's one of our questions on our real scam, fake scam.
Oh, is it?
I think so. I think we answered one of those questions, which we're going to see a little bit later on ITRC.
Yes, we
I believe it was.
Have
and I think I almost thought, oh wait, will they call me?
We have a relationship with the Identity Theft Resource Center, which is a nonprofit based in San Diego, and they help consumers with all sorts of ID theft. Or there's a resource and support, and so that's a couple of of options in terms of if you are a victim of what to do. You can contact them, and their website is idtheftcenter.org. You can also call the IRS Identity Protection Unit, and that number is 800-908-4490. A couple of other things that you should do is file a police report, and then also you can ask the IRS for a copy of that fraudulent return. So that might give some clues as to who the criminal is or what exactly transpired, and you can give that to the police department when you file your report. So a couple of options there for help. And we did a little sit down with the president of ITRC, and she quizzed us a little bit on what is a possible scam or not. We had a little fun with that.
It was pretty fun.
We'll go to that video now, and you'll see how many we got right or not.
Eva, thanks so much for joining us today on the Credit Mix. We're so excited to have you.
Yes.
We talk a lot about identity theft and always looking to educate our viewers, but it's so great to have you as an expert here to talk a little bit more about it. So, but before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Identity Theft Resource Center?
Absolutely. The ITRC is a 501c3 nonprofit that was formed to help victims of identity theft to resolve their cases, all at no cost to the public.
Oh, absolutely great. So I know you wanted to educate us a little bit today, and we're going to do a fun little quiz game of fake scam, real scam, and you're going to give us, you're going to give us some scenarios.
It's going to be
I'm going to
rapid
be a pro at
fire.
this, but
I'm a little scared
too. She's wearing red. I'm a little
All right. So let's light it up.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so I'm going to read you a scenario, and I'm going to ask you to decide if it's fake scam, so not something that's a real scam out there, or a real scam.
Fake scam,
Scenario number 6.
Okay.
You get a phone call from a collection agency.
Oh, just that.
Just that.
Oh,
Go.
oh.
Just.
Fake scam. That could be real. I mean, fake scam.
I'll say fake scam.
All
'cause
right.
That could be real.
That is correct. It could be correct.
It could be happen.
Yes,
Right.
this could be a real call, but always get all of the information. Don't give up too much of your information until you determine that it really is a legitimate collection call.
Right.
Okay, scenario number 2, when you get a phone call from the IRS.
Oh, that's a real scam. They don't call you on the phone.
You don't think they would though? I'm going to say fake scam.
No, I think that's...
All right, you get a point.
Yay!
Currently, the IRS does not call you. They only communicate
via mail?
Via mail.
Okay.
That is going to change at some point in the near future, so we need to keep people up to date on that.
If I get a call, I just know not to answer.
You just know that it's not real.
Don't return that one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, scenario number 3. When you get a phone call from the lottery saying you have won.
Oh, that's a real scam, too.
Yeah, because wouldn't I know before? I mean, I'm going to say
I think you go in person if you had a lotto ticket. I think
before they called me, right?
I don't think they call you. Do they call you?
They don't call you.
Okay.
But another great indicator, this is one to really, I want people to keep this in mind. Another indicator that you haven't won the lottery when you get that call is that you never bought a ticket.
Oh,
right,
of course,
yeah.
Oh, there no. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that go, well, I didn't buy a ticket, but maybe someone entered me in there.
Okay.
All right, and the last one, when you get an account verification email right after you sign up online.
Fake scam.
Yeah,
right?
fake because, well...
Doesn't that happen?
After you...
If I'm completing the application online, I would imagine, and then I'm going to justify why I'm choosing...
Yeah, I think fake, because if it was immediate, I think that makes it more legitimate.
You guys are both right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was scared. I was like, oh, no.
No, you guys are both right. Okay. Actually, it is generally going to be legitimate if you have initiated the contact with that company, you have started an account, they will send you a verification. If you get them afterwards at a later date, it could be a scam. You really need to go back to the source. Say it with me. Go back to the source.
Yeah, that's like the best
Remember
Definitely
that.
go back to the source. Got it. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for playing this game with us. I think it was very fun and educational. Gives people a lot of information. And then where can they go if they need help with identity theft?
They can always visit us at our website, which is idtheftcenter.org, or call our toll-free number, 888-400-5530.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
So thanks again to ITRC for coming down and chatting with us and helping us learn what's a fraud and a scam. Hopefully
scam,
that
fake
was
scam.
informative for you. And again, if you would like more information about tax ID theft, you can go to our blog. We have many articles about that at experian.com/education. So now we're going to talk a little bit about credit, because we do get a lot of questions about credit scores and credit reports and credit cards and debt and all of that. And a couple of things we wanted to mention in particular was something in the news for those of you that are card holders and are really working your points and rewards and all of that. Virgin is essentially going under Alaska, and so what do you do if you have a Virgin card?
Right. So Virgin America announced that the final closure, I guess, of Virgin America. I think it was around the 11th of this month, and then going forward, I believe after April, you wouldn't be able to book on Virgin anymore if they go to Alaska. So with that, of course, if you've flown Virgin as I did all the time, if members also had Virgin America airline cards. So I was wondering what's going to happen. What's with this card? Are they going to switch us over to an Alaska branded credit card? But unfortunately not. So it looks like Alaska already has an established relationship right now with a bank that funds the actual cards that they have out there. And Community Bank, the one that's under Virgin, basically they're saying, well, it's just going to be where everybody's going to close. We're going to close the accounts, and you can then just reapply for an Alaska card with Bank of America. So yeah, it was a little bit of a thinking oh, well, how can this maybe affect my score? What if this was a card that was my longest credit history? What if, my credit utilization is going to go up because I had all this available credit on this card that I no longer have, added with the rest of my credit cards? And so I think a lot of concerns maybe a lot of people may have had that have the card, or maybe don't even realize that, maybe they're thinking it's nothing but a closure and not really going to, impact me in any way.
Right.
But yeah, I was pretty surprised, but I guess, like I said, since there was already another bank that was already, behind the Alaska branded card, there was nothing else to do.
Right. Interesting. So that's something to look out for if you have a card, because the closure will possibly affect your score. As Kerrie mentioned, it affects your credit utilization ratio. And then also, if you need to apply for a new card, obviously to replace that one, then if you apply for one, that's a hard inquiry on your credit report.
Right.
And so that could have your score dip a little bit too. So make sure you look into this. Don't just, ignore it, let it go, especially if you are planning to apply for other credit. So for example, if you had in mind to get a home loan or a car loan in the next few months, you definitely don't want to have activity on your credit report, especially an inquiry that's going to make your score dip.
Right.
So something to look out for.
Definitely. Good
and on
tips.
that note, we did get a question about credit score and mortgages from a consumer. Was that on Twitter or?
It was on Facebook. It was a great
Okay.
question. We've been publishing a lot of great articles in response to our recently, state of credit, and we had an article that was talking about how credit scores are in Minneapolis and St. Paul, that area, and how they're pretty much the highest when it comes to Banter scores. I think it was like 50 or so, higher than what the average was. And so lots of talk about credit scores, and we had a great question down there in the comments about scores and associated with getting a mortgage. And so we're going to have that question answered.
Yeah, we'll kick it to our consumer credit expert, Susie, for the Ask Susie segment, and she will answer that question for you.
Thank you so much, Sandra and Kerrie. Good to be here today. And Gail, thank you so much for your question. We love to get questions on credit mix from all of you so we can help you manage your finances. So Gail's question is, what does my score need to be to get approved for a mortgage? Excellent question, Gail. Let's first set the foundation. Typically, credit scores have a range of 300 to 850. So that sets the context for this. For a mortgage, the shorter answer is, if you want to get approved for an FHA loan or what's called a conventional mortgage, you're going to need about a 680. So if you're not quite there yet, there's options. First, you can wait. Just wait for a little while. Keep up your really good credit habits of paying your bills on time and keeping your credit utilization low, as Sandra was just talking about, and that should help build up your score over time. If you have ants in your pants and now is the time that you want to buy a home and you're determined that you can do it and you can afford it, there are excellent programs out there for first-time home buyers. So a lot of government programs, and typically those programs only require about a 640 credit score. So that's pretty significantly lower. If you decide that that's an option for you, be very, very cautious about reading every single word on the documentation to make sure that you understand all the terms and conditions, because the APR, the average percentage rate, could be higher than typical, and you need to make sure that the payments pan out for you. So jump online and do some research on programs, and also for lenders that are looking for borrowers with lower credit scores. They are out there, but again, be really cautious about making sure those terms and conditions are going to work for you. A mortgage is a really huge commitment, and affordability is really the thing to watch out for. So Gail, I hope that helps. Keep your questions coming, and back to you, Sandra and Kerrie.
Thanks so much, Susie.
Thanks, Susie.
Hopefully that was helpful for you.
Great
and again,
question.
yeah, if you have any other topics that you would like addressed or questions for us, you can always shout out to us either on Twitter at the hashtag #TheCreditMix or Ask Susie, and certainly in the comments on Facebook. For more information too on credit scores and mortgages and other topics, always go to our blog at experian.com/education.
Yeah, check
So,
it out.
yeah.
And shout out to Minneapolis, St. Paul with those high scores.
Right. I know. We
They're
need to
doing
find
something
out what
right
they're
over
doing.
there. I know.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, that their situation, I think they have like a good, robust economy there, and unemployment is, I heard, is a little bit lower than the national average. So things are looking pretty good over there.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, and we're always here on Wednesdays about 9:30, and hope to see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.